Sweet darling, that ain't the way you make love. You've been turning around uptown. You ain't some fancy clown. You ain't some fancy clown. You've been turning around uptown. You ain't some fancy clown. You ain't some fancy clown. You've been, I hear you in the background.
One of the unusual things about this group is that each guy in the group can lead. Any guy in the group can do it.
Straight out the Ville. It's the BackAlley Fellas podcast.
They said we could never make it. They said
Yeah, they got it bumping. In the back alley. Taking shots of whiskey and only go.
One, two. What's up? Peace, family. How y'all doing?
What's up? Good
What's up? It's the BackAlley Fellas podcast. We back.
boys.
It's indeed.
What's up?
Mike D. I'm Mike D. Pat Sajak. Big Pat. What's going on,
man?
Brother Six. What's happening?
What's going on? What's up, big brother? What's up, three out there?
I can't call it. Yo, welcome everyone back to another episode of the BackAlley Fellas podcast. Again, I'm one of your hosts, Mike D, with brother Big Pat, brother Six. You know, when we formed this beautiful triune that we call the BackAlley Fella podcast. We represent Louisville, Kentucky, no matter wherever we at. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But we always represent 23rd Street, the West End, the best end. And we always want to give a shout out to our beloved brother, Reggie Smith.
What's up, Fat Blood?
Fat Blood, rest in power to him. Rest in peace. We send a shout out to his family, always and forever.
Rest
Love
in
and
peace,
support.
Fat Blood. What's up, family?
Send a shout out to the rest of the 23rd Street crew. You know what I mean? Wherever they at in the world, whatever they do. And we also send a shout out to you all, our first time, last time, and just continual listeners. We appreciate y'all coming out and tuning in. We appreciate the comments, and we just hope that you continue to ride with us and grow with us. That being said, Big Pat, how you doing? What's going on in your world today?
Hey, man, I'm every day above ground is a great day, man. I'm living good, man. No complaints.
Indeed.
How you brothers doing? I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you two brothers, man. To all you listeners and viewers out there, tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody. You know how we do. This ain't no
to join in.
Sitting here sipping. So tell somebody, give a shout out to Louisville, man. Everybody there, the West End, all over, all the people that I know, all the people that I love you, stay alive.
Sit.
How you doing there, brother, in Naptown?
I am I'm doing swell. Wanted to shout you out. Congratulations on the beautiful granddaughter. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Indeed. It's always a blessing continuing that legacy.
Always.
But other than that, man, just chilling, bro. Just chilling.
What's up?
So with that, we gonna get it started because we got a nice little topic today, and we're gonna do our best to delve into it, and we hope that you all will add to it and bring some things to us and maybe do some research. This is something that brother Pat brought to the table, and as I was looking at it, I was like, wow, this is really interesting. It's a rabbit hole that we can go down. That being said, before we get started, you know what we do. We always ask, what's in your drink? You know the routine. I still ain't seen no recipes yet, so I'm waiting to find out. You know, when y'all make them comments, it don't have to always just be on the topic. We love to hear about that and what you think. But send us something that tastes good, and we can try it out and let you know if it really do taste good.
That's awesome.
With that being said, Big Pat, what you got in your cup today, brother?
I'm gonna call this. They got Long Island iced tea. How about West End iced tea? This is iced tea from the hood.
West End iced tea. What you got?
This is vodka in Seagram's Bahama Mama. And what's that stuff? Simple syrup.
Okay. So you just be like, whatever you find, you just throw it in there and try it out.
Old school. It's liquor and mixer. I throw it all together with a couple.
Oh man, boy, listen.
And it's going down.
Brother Six, what you got?
I got some vodka and wine, man.
Vodka and wine.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We call it
in the same cup.
I call it sweet dirty red.
My God.
I thought you were gonna say like Red Fox, some chip.
Triple.
They call it
Ripple.
Sweet dirty red. Is that what you call it?
And West End iced tea. We done made our own new drinks, Mike.
I see you doing it. Like, hey, listen.
Sweet dirty red.
And now, to our viewers and to our listeners, parental advisory. You could try that out if you like.
Strongly in effect.
But they built a little different. So they built a little different. You might, if you try that, you might want to stay home and have somebody look after you. You know what I'm saying?
Got in your cup?
I ain't gonna lie. I got a bottle. Yeah, I got a bottle. And listen. I told y'all I was gonna do it, and I did it. I got a glass of wine.
Oh wow! Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's actually sweet. You know, my wife said we had a little leftover, so I'm gonna try that out because I don't really want to get too tough. I'm gonna have to try to mix something up. Now I might be on my damn ass after I do it, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to record when I'm drinking it, but I'm gonna try one of them out. But
I want to give a shout out to all my brothers out there that's doing their own thing, got their own wines, their own liquors, and all their own lines and stuff like that. Yeah. I want you to know I do support you, and I do drink those.
Yeah, it's some young black brothers in Louisville that are doing a whiskey.
Yeah, I got a bottle of
it.
Support those. The Braille Brothers. I might break it out.
Don't think we don't support.
It's a strong. I got to
support. We do that. You know?
Got some Uncle Nearest too.
Oh, near.
So let's go on and do this then.
Let's make it happen, Captain.
So what we do is everybody, that's listening and watching, you put your cup up, and we're gonna do this. What Mike calls these libations.
Indeed.
So bottles, glasses, literally, cups that are plastic, alleyways backwards. Perfection takes practice. Friendship takes kinship. 2/3 of the street dynasty.
Brotherhood from the neighborhood. This podcast is going to be a classic. Divine state of mind. I'm moving sublime. On the rocks, brother, give me something strong.
A mixer, maybe a glass of wine. Put your drink up. Now let's link up. It's nothing but love in this atmosphere. Peace and salutations, brothers and sisters, the fellas. We in here. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. And you go see somebody. I don't know who, but you go see somebody.
The doctor.
All right, let's get this thing cracking.
Let's go.
What did you brothers hear? I've heard it's both you brothers because y'all discussed this. The news out of the back alley for this week.
Well, that was been kind of buzzing around is a term that's called, it's got two names really. It's called sundown towns, and also known as sunset town. And that are listening that have never heard of it or don't know about them, it's basically from the 1800s to the early 1960s, there were all white town municipalities, neighborhoods in the United States that practiced racism as a form of segregation. And they did this by enforcing strict laws about blacks being there after dark.
Yeah, I think some of y'all have seen the movies. Some of us, some of our elders probably seen the signs. Some of them were formal, some were informal. I was reading some things where sometimes it might have been a nice groomed sign by municipalities or whatever, and then some were made up, and it was understood. And some of them, some towns east of the Mississippi, you may sometimes you would see it, sometimes you wouldn't, but it was understood. And it was interesting, really just diving down and really looking at this. You know, I know we looked at Kentucky. I looked at some cities in Indianapolis.
I've actually worked in some cities. I've actually worked and been through when I was on the road driving, delivering flowers and stuff up there through Indiana. You know, I've had a couple of customers that and they're still practicing the sundown. You can't be in the sundown city. They would tell me, that, hey, William, you want to please don't get caught, during sundown or, after dark.
So let me ask you,
what year was that? What year?
That was
early 90s?
Yeah, that was the early 90s, I believe.
So how you feel about that?
At the time, and in my position, and not overstanding the full plan of myself, the God within, I didn't like the devils at all. I did it, and I tolerated it. And as I grew through that, though, I look back on it, and I handled it well. Because I was raised in that environment. I knew how to conduct. I knew how to take it. I knew how to hide that veil and put it over my face as well as they did. So at that time, the effect that it had on me, I guess is what you're asking me, is that it was something that I still live with. I still have to put up with that to this day. So I didn't hate it. I didn't love it neither, but I tolerated it.
But you know what's interesting that I found about that is we don't realize it, but this is 2021 and there are still towns.
Absolutely.
I read one report, and again, don't quote the numbers, so if somebody goes back and fact checks this, it's fine. But just guesstimation, there was something like 264 towns in Kentucky, and it was like 64 of them were still either thought to be or known to be sundown towns.
As of today.
Now, and it was funny that some of these towns actually had a sign as soon as you came into this town that said, I'm just going to use the word ninja. Ninjas don't let the sun go down on your egg. And, and that's crazy. I was reading this article here that said in Franklin County, and I think it was Franklin County, Arkansas, or one of them places, all the way up until 1970, they still had that sign up. Now, some of these towns have taken the signs down, but they still practice it and live that way.
So a part of me, when you brought this up, it had me going down a rabbit hole, because the first thing I started thinking about was the audacity of whiteness. And when I say that this is not to any of the people that I know that are classified under the social construct of race and color, because it's not about the individual European or per white person or whatever. It's about the system that is classified as white racism, so forth and so on. So I ain't really talking about people because people always, well, our white people, I ain't talking about that because we can generalize everything. I'm talking about the system in itself. So I started thinking about the book that I haven't finished, but The Color of Law, A Forgotten History of How Our Government Segregated America, which kind of ties into what we're talking about, because
Let me see that book.
it's called The Color of Law by
Okay.
Richard Rothstein.
Okay.
A really good book because it breaks down the history of how not that it wasn't just private entities that helped segregate the country, but state, local, as well as federal agencies in the United States itself that help to segregate the country and create ghettos and these particular towns and all these things. And so when I think about that, I'm like, okay, wow. So if you can, y'all get that book. Then there's these thick books right here. It's a volume 1 and 2. It's called The Invention of White Race by Theodore Allen, volume 1 and volume 2. So it talks about, when I talk about the audacity of whiteness, because that's really what we're talking about, is for human beings that have different hues and believe in the lie of color to say you can't be in that town or in that city or in that area after the sun goes down. And it's and because we haven't dealt with this, because this country is the system is and the people largely are cowards and don't want to deal with this. We are in the place that we're at right now, and I just don't see it turning around because we don't want to have these kind of conversations. But it's
I think that's a problem, Mike. I think that's a problem because you have a lot of Black people that don't want to have the conversations either. So if you bring them up, then it's past. And I think what's telling about us even discussing this today is because this is something that's very much still happening today. And we look at all the different things, the Black Lives Matter and all these different things, but yet you still have a vast majority of Black people that say, oh, Lil Wayne just did an interview not too long ago where he says he doesn't believe that there's any racism in the United States and he's never personally experienced any racism.
And you're always going to find, what they would call the exceptional Negro. Because when you do, in peace to Brother Sharif Bey of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I was watching a lecture that he did a few years ago. And one of the things they talk about is in the structure, that I was just talking about, of the coded structure of race. The bad or the good Black person is the exception to the rule. A bad white person is also the exception to the rule. Whiteness is the norm. Therefore, you're always going to be able to find and pick out individuals that will hold to that structure. But I'm not listening to Lil Wayne on that. He ain't an authority on that. Do your music and that. Now, I do think most Black people understand that. What I think is that most Black people are also tired of the conversation because, see, we're actually talking to one another. We're talking to ourselves. We kind of understand this, whether we talk about it or not, whether we actually have known that there are still Sundown, there are still places in cities that we know that we talk about here in Indiana, where I live at right now, where whether it is true or not, there's a history behind it. Yeah. And you like, if I don't have to go there, I'm not. And before it gets dark, I'm gone, based off of stories, history, whatever.
Right.
The problem is that we can't get our quote unquote counterpart to have the real conversation of when they gonna deal with that, because we can't make that change. we can't do nothing about that. That's something on their end. That's a belief in themselves. Now, I like I said, it's a slippery slope because we can go down some. There's a lot of areas that we can go. We can take a lot of left turns and right turns during this argument, or this conversation, I would say, and we can take that
Yeah, we can deal with it and I think we'll all end back up at the same place at the round table talking about this and what you just said. I got it with both you brothers, and that is a conversation that no one is having.
But here's the question though. Who ignites the conversation on any fire, whether you got a stove, you got a fireplace, you got a campfire, there has to be that spark.
Right.
So who, if we keep waiting on someone else to start the conversation, because these are going to be some tough conversations. I myself, after many years in the military, you too, Mike, and then you traveling the world, I have several friends that are white. I mean, close friends.
Yeah.
But we gotta start having these conversations, because the longer, in my opinion, the longer that we act like these things didn't happen, because these things affect us every day. You see it every day with the stuff that's going on. And I'm not saying all police are bad, but there are a lot of bad apples mixed with that bunch of good apples. And with housing, buying houses, buying cars. My cousin works in the automotive industry, and this is a funny story I got to tell real quick. He said a black lady came in with almost an 800 credit score, pretty much an 800 credit score. And she had her term. She said she wanted this luxury BMW at 1.9 interest. Kept telling her they couldn't give it to her. But she's one of the few that said no, you're gonna give it to me. And she worked it and ended up getting it there. She called corporate and everything. But he said he's seen people come in there with white people come in there with 650, 675s, and they give them 1-2% interest.
Right.
This woman had an 800 credit score, and they still trying to give her like 4% interest.
Well, so the thing is
that they're talking about, but.
right. So that's a structural thing that people buy into, and it's nothing that Black people really can do, because now we're talking about the social construct.
You can, but I'm saying at some point in time we have to start addressing that.
But see, Pat, here's where. Go ahead.
Me personally, I would have went to him, and not nothing to get me fired. I would have went. I'm gonna tell you what I probably would have did. I probably went to HR, right over their head, and you put it in question for them. I want to know. Well, I had a customer that was African American, Black, whatever term you want to use, Negro, whatever you want to use. They had an 800 credit score, and they was boom, 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 and I seen boom, boom, boom. Ask the question. And you know what? Ultimately, you say something all the time. If you're willing to die for it, ultimately you might lose your job over it, but it's you standing for the principle.
But see, here's the thing. I get what you're saying. The pushback that I would have is that it's already been done. We do that on a consistent basis. No, I understand that, but there comes a point in time when we have to shift. So the social construct is how we are viewed by others and how we view others. The governance construct is how we see and view one another. And that's what I'm on, because there's nothing that I can do. The conversation, like I sent you, brother, something from one of my good friends, John Jeter, in the article that he wrote in the research that he did. And he said that Citigroup did a study in 2000 that showed, now I'm gonna mess it up, and y'all please forgive me, but it essentially said that we lost in that time frame about $16 trillion in GDP, I believe, off of racist practices. So it don't even make good business sense. So even when you are because we've attempted to appeal to the heart through humanity,
Right there.
We've shown through data that it don't make good business sense.
We've done
So
it.
we try to go through the mind or through the intellect.
Done it.
What else is there to do? At some
Right.
point, they have to be able to see that it's going to, and see, even with that,
Yeah.
that's not gonna get it.
No,
No,
well, I'm gonna tell you the answer.
But you can take the,
I'm
you
gonna
can
tell
take
you
the
the
man.
answer.
We can take the man out, but it's the
No,
system.
no,
You
I'm
put
gonna
another
tell you
man
the
out
answer.
around
You're
the
not
system.
gonna like it.
It's
but
the system.
but no, I'm gonna tell you the answer. And I've said this before. I forgot what podcast it was, and what conversation we had.
Right? Mhm.
But here's the answer. Here is the answer.
Mhm.
We got to start with each other. And here's the point that I brought up. There's enough blacks in influential positions in everything from sports to government to make a change. But the problem is blacks don't do it.
We won't unite.
I agree with you.
So
We're in agreement.
we got black senators, congressmen,
General,
Supreme Court judges, but
cops,
you constantly
teachers,
now. Not only do you
educators.
not do anything about it,
Uh-huh.
watch your counterparts do it, actively participate in racism, and you don't say nothing. I'm gonna be honest with you. And again, I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. This is just my view. If every single black person or person of color would have stood with Colin Kaepernick, I promise you it would have changed. Because you
Oh, I
remember,
agree.
the only
Hit them in the
thing
pocket.
the only thing they care about is money.
Hit them in the pocket.
See, but what happened is you had total, and I'm just gonna guesstimate, you had about 10 overall NFL players that supported him.
Uh-huh.
2 on his team, and then 1 or 2 here or there. But the day he said, you know what, I'm not standing for the national anthem no more. I'm not even playing until y'all start fixing some of this social injustice. And every single player in basketball, football, baseball, soccer, golf, stop playing, and you start messing with their pockets. Because see, the truth of the matter is, and this goes all the way back to our storied history, Mike, that the rich have always ran this country. There's an untold secret now that the Rothschilds and what was that married to the president, the Rockefellers, that they still are running this country behind the curtain. So when you start messing with their money, stuff's gonna change. It happens.
Right.
Only 2 things.
Go ahead.
Yes, only 2 things happen. I'm done. You can jump on it, Mike. When you do that, when you start hitting them in the pockets, 2 things are going to happen. It's going to change, or you're going to die. Go ahead, Mike.
These is facts. Now those are facts. Now I was looking at this book because I think I remember somebody. I heard this and I want to try to get this. It's called The Black Tax. It's the cost of being black in America. It's an author.
Who's that by?
I'm gonna get it to you, Sean D. Rochester. And I think in there that was somebody had mentioned, and if it's not this, and the viewers can please correct us, put that in the comments or whatever, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think in this book he lays out what I was talking about, the burden of these anti-black laws and legislation, and what it does not only to people that are classified as black, but the country as a whole. But I think he also lays out a premise that if a portion of us were to move, let's say it into 9 southern states or whatever, that we could become the majority, and from a political process control the state and local legislator and get things done from that perspective. Now that's a theory. And so there's a couple of different things from that perspective, and I don't know if we're still on it. I think we've kind of went down a rabbit hole when we talk about the Sundown town. So we'll try to get back on it. But I think that when we talk about this, and why I say that it ties in, is that there is a understanding, whether it's spoken or unspoken, that when we look at and we celebrate Black Wall Street, there's an understanding of why they did that. Even when you talk about Move and Philly and Rosewood and things of the nature and other, is that those black people They was doing what we talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And them folks came over, that social structure came over and
Right.
was like, hell to the now, and burnt everything down and killed. And so there's an aspect that we understand that this power structure is not going to give. And again, this is not talking about, our friends or whatever that are white or whatever the case might be and so forth and so on. We're talking about that power structure that is in place right now. We recognize that it is not going to yield
Well,
itself.
let me ask you this. Before we go, because we have gone down a little rabbit hole, we're going to get back on the subject. But this is an interesting conversation. So the people listening are engaged in it. But let me ask you this. And this is going to be controversial. So I'm going to say it once again, because I seem to always be the one that brings up controversial things. But do you think, and you have the right to not answer this, do you think that our so-called leaders in the Black community are whitewashed? Now, here's why I say that. Let me say before you even think of answer that. History has proven that every man or woman of color that has ever threatened their way of life, they killed. Even the white people that threatened their way of life, they killed them. Why do we got leaders now that they're not even looking at?
Well, go 6 if you want to answer that.
That is a huge issue and something that
Malcolm X had to go.
That's something that we've always
Martin
dealt
Luther
with
King had to go.
from
Medgar Evers had to go.
From the beginning of our time. I'm walking with you because that's good. Keep dropping that in because
They had to go.
I'm gonna speak on it. Until we're able to unite and stand up for the cause, this will continue to happen. We all know it, just like what you're talking about, Mike. So I'm agreeing with you to answer his question. And until we get there, nothing's going to change. The system is going to remain. I truly believe what I was learning at the time when I was in the nation to separate and do for self and get our own. I truly believe that that would be the start of something new as far as political, as far as race, as far as
they're gonna burn it down.
Our community and all that, and there again, because of the history, we know what could happen when that does, just like what Mike was saying about that Black Wall Street. We know that can happen. But until we unite continually, until we can unite all together as one to do what you're talking about, and that is stand up for something, fight back, and all of us get together and take out those ones who are whitewashed. We're not gonna ever.
So I would say it like this.
Personally, that's just my opinion.
Yes, there are some. But I don't know if that is the reason why, What'd you say?
Go ahead. No, you want down different.
You said the question is what? All of them?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I don't think that they are. That is the main reason or rationale.
I think there's other reasons too. I think one, we're in a state as a people that we're not followers like the people of the 40s and the 50s were.
Well, so let me put it like this. I agree to you from that perspective, but I also think that it is I think sometimes we have to give ourselves grace. And I thought about this in my job, and I thought so. Sometimes we have to be careful about when we view somebody, because they might be in a season, and if you haven't walked in their particular shoes, then we sometimes may need to fall back. See,
but we're talking about decades.
Yeah. But see, so
let's name one person.
So let me. So I'm gonna name somebody. I'm gonna name Jesse Owens. I just was watching this today, Dr. Greg, because they was talking about this. Jesse Owens, highlight 1936, dismantles Nazism as we know it doing what he did. Comes back, has a party. They don't even invite him to his own party. He got to go through the back door and things of that nature. Has to go trying to make a living for himself. They say if if we want you to go ahead and race and make money, but to give it to this organization, he's like, I got a family. It's like, well, you got to do something on your own. He has to resort to racing horses and stuff in Mexico and things like that just to earn a living. So you fast forward, 68, same group of people that were Nazi sympathizers and put these things on and all these different things or whatever, go to Jesse and say, can you go in Mexico City, talk to these young brothers and sisters and ask them not to protest? You see what I'm saying? And there's a huge argument that goes on, and he's telling these people, in his memoir, he's like, man, y'all ain't gonna have no jobs. If y'all protest, y'all gonna come back and you're gonna have jobs. And so I don't know if it was John Carlos or one of them or Tommy Smith was like, man, I can't get a job anyway. So whatever. Go down the road. He writes his memoir in 70. He talks about, I don't know about protest and so forth and so on. He catches a lot of heat from the governance structure from Black people. 72, he writes another memoir where he says, and I forget the title of it, where it says, I have changed. And he talks about it. So what am I trying to say? And if I counted him out in between 36 or 37 through 68, I can view him in one way and that's it. But that's not the whole person. That's not his whole thing. He still had a ways to go. And I'm only saying that, yes, there are some that we can probably point out that are comfortable and make those in power feel comfortable and let's call it selling out. But for the large part, there are a lot of people on the ground, some that we know, some that we don't know, that are actually doing good work. But again, I don't think that's the issue. The issue is that this was the same thing in the Reconstruction. You had white and black. You had no, it's not. You had black and white people working together against landowners. Like, hey, forget these political parties. We doing this. And then those people came in and said and asked those poor white people, hey, listen, I'll give you 2 cents more. I'm gonna tax you another cent. I'm gonna let you be the overseer. You're gonna do this. And now they abandon the very thing. This is why you can see people poor as dirt in Kentucky, in Tennessee, in Indiana, ain't got a pot to piss in, and say, I don't want the Affordable Health Care Act because it's gonna go to foreigners. And I'm like, fool, you the one that need it. You voting against the very thing that goes in because you believe in this social construct. And black people sit back like, if you just get right, if you understand that we ain't got no issues, we good. Black people like, I can't do no more. Right. At some point, it's tiresome. Pat, we have a burden that none of us wanted. All we wanted to do was just be men, live our lives, be happy. But we because of this social construct, we now got to take on this thing. And I'm saying sometimes people be like, man, I'm tired. I don't want to do it right now.
And that's exactly what I mean by we're the ones to blame. In our last conversation, I mentioned this, and I'll hit it real quick, Pat, and you can go ahead. It starts with the person in the mirror, man. You got to do self-check. What are you doing to make a change or to make a difference? Can we unite? No, we can't, because we do have those few that he's talking about that's either whitewashed or those ones that you're talking about that's just tired, man. So when you get enough of them together, on top of the ones who don't, or who won't even try to understand the concept of, hey, it's the system, and this is what we need to come together and do. You have those also, man, it's an uphill battle, and you end up that way. You end up whitewashed, you end up tired, or you end up not even giving a damn. So where do you lay? And that's what I mean by looking in the mirror and say, what am I doing? What am I doing I just want in the pursuit of happiness. That's what all life is about. You know, you find your purpose and you go for it. You get your dream and your goals and you go for it. So what are you doing to even accomplish that? And who are you hurting to get there? Who are you not helping to get there by going to them and telling them, hey man, listen, I've seen what you're doing in the community and it's wrong. Or telling them, hey brother, you need to educate you, get this book. So it starts with that.
So as far as sundown towns go, do you think that there's anything
your own damn thing
that well, they're gonna burn it down? They've already proved that when we tried to do it. But I watched a thing the other day that said they got several towns, not just that one, that they completely ran all the people out and then flooded them and made them late.
They still doing it to this day. They still got churches and communities and all that are not allowing the blacks into your community or church.
There's enough people
that's what I'm
to bring awareness to it. You got enough black reporters, you got enough black people in government, police.
Right. But here's the thing though, Pat. All I'm saying is this. It's not like it hasn't. This social construct doesn't.
There's people that's never even heard of sundown towns.
Okay, just because you don't.
Means it's not.
No, this is what I'm saying. I don't give a damn if you've never heard of a sundown town. You know what it means.
West.
That's apples and oranges, brother. I'm saying that's apples and oranges. You
no,
threw out a you threw out a you filibustering right now.
And we hear about these rappers and singers. But there's enough mainstream media out there. Why didn't we know that there's still a sundown town?
Oh, okay, so when we find that out, then what? Brother, you just had on national TV, January 6th, a mutiny, treason, and you have half of the country is like, I ain't seen nothing, them political prisoners. They ain't even want to go listen to the police. The same people that was crying a couple of months ago when people was like, we need to defund the police, and they was like, support the police on the 6th of January when the police was getting their ass whooped. They was like, I don't know nothing. I don't see nothing. How you gonna convince them? They looking at it, they see it live. What you gonna say to them? Just tell me what you say to them.
No,
that have seen that.
The answer is not do nothing, not say nothing.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I'm saying the governance of you saying that.
No.
You got to do this.
I'm asking you what you saying. Don't be telling me what I'm saying.
No, I'm gonna tell you what you said, and I'm gonna tell you how you said it, and then I'm gonna tell you what I'm saying.
Okay, tell me what you saying first.
I'm saying that it does not make a difference about what we do as it relates to identifying something. No, our structure is to continue to move forward, learning and having governance on ourselves, how we see, because it's complicated. It's just not a black and white thing, even within our communities. Hell, we could talk about sundown towns, but we could also talk about not wanting to go in particular black neighborhoods. If you black, it's complicated.
So what I'm saying,
what are you saying?
That's interesting right there, because you know what? That's
we having a conversation, because I'm not acting as if I have a.
Check out what you just said, Mike.
What's that?
Sundown towns.
I heard
that we're not allowed in. There is some neighborhoods in a black community that you're not gonna be caught in the dark. So what's the difference?
And to me. It's still trying to have.
Now that's apples and oranges.
Not actually, it's not.
It's the same.
No,
actually, it's not.
Some parts. Okay, I'm gonna break down to you like this. If we're in the West End and we're in a particular area, we don't want to be there. Same thing in a sundown town. That's all I'm saying.
And so my thing is this: when I talk about it's complicated, I'm saying that we still have to.
Yeah.
Y'all can tell none of that's the answer.
But see. Pat, I can't give you the answer because I don't know the answer.
Then say that.
I'm trying to say that, but you sit here to answer me. No, you sit here trying to tell me what I'm. You saying get an answer, and I told you there is no answer. We got to keep it. So be quiet and listen sometimes.
So this is
That's what we saying.
So this is
No,
It's a
that's not
compli-
what
it's a-
you said.
This is the question to the
Okay.
viewers also, to the listeners and to the viewers that's out there and amongst us. We know what we've done about it, but what can we do about it now and what's being done?
So
to
basically-
fix
So you
it?
tell me, Pat, what do we do?
Oh, no, yeah, now I'm gonna agree with you too, Mike, on this one. And I think that's what Pat is hinting at. We don't have that. I know I don't have the answer to it, because
No,
I
I think that I have the answer.
What's your answer?
that's good. What would
I've
you
already
do?
said it 3 times. There's
What to
enough
keep?
people in power and there's people that are not of color. There's Hispanics, there's white. We've always had white supporters and enough blacks in power. See, the problem of the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s was we didn't have any power. So it was hard when you don't have no police, you don't have no police chiefs, you don't have no governors, you don't have no senators, you don't have no presidents, now we got all of that.
So you
You
think,
didn't have no millionaires, you didn't have no billionaires, you didn't have nothing.
so I'm gonna
We got that now.
I'm gonna come with one of these.
So what I'm saying is, if you take all the black people of power, when I say power, I'm talking about even
Able
the
to make change,
supervisors
to
and
make
the
change.
managers,
Those who can make change.
even
That's
if
what
it's
I have in
UPS,
mind.
you're a manager at UPS. We got some form of control. And if we all start getting together, there's gonna have to be change. Just like I said, I've told you what I thought was the answer. If every single black person in the NFL would have said, I'm not playing, I guarantee you they'd have made change. Because you'd have hit their pockets. They could not have an NFL game if every single black person said they wasn't playing. They couldn't even play.
I don't disagree with you.
Play.
I don't disagree with you.
And we'll stick with that one too.
So
But
that's what I'm saying.
every black entertainer and every sports person there is that's
So
a
I'm
part,
not saying it's going to fix it.
but it'll make a
The
change.
question was, what can we do to help make a change? What I got from you all was, okay, it is what it is. We've tried for years, so oh well.
No, what I said was these are the construct. What I'm saying is on them now. My only concern is with black folks.
You can't put it on them.
I'm
Yes,
saying,
I can. I
I'm
can.
saying that-
No, you don't have
I'm saying
to.
it's-
I
I'm saying
can.
that it's never going to happen because those ones that you're talking about are never going to unite. And I'm just talking about us as a people. That's what I meant by checking yourself and being an individual and looking in the mirror and saying, what am I doing? The ones that y'all talking about, the very ones that can make a change and can do something about it,
Here's an
we
example.
won't.
Here's an example.
We ain't going to do it.
If you got a white judge that you know is doing racist practices
Mm-hmm.
in a state,
Mm-hmm.
you got 50 black judges that know it.
Mm-hmm.
Get together, they go to the African American or Hispanic congressman, senator, who goes to the African American person on the Senate or the Congress, and we start talking, hey, look at this dude right here, look at the stuff he's doing, let's look at these cases. And you go to the black FBI chiefs and commanders, and you do all this stuff. Something's going to happen. So do we do it? I'm gonna give you a better example. Mike.
Expeditiously kill.
No, I ain't going that far, but I'm gonna give you a better example. So if you select any incident with, again, and I'm not saying all police officers are bad. I'm saying any of the ones that have had negative impacts on the African American community, and
White or black?
white against black.
Okay.
And you mean to tell me that police force didn't have hundreds, maybe even thousands of black officers, some captains, lieutenants, chiefs, if they'd all came together and said, no, that's wrong. And the black chief here put pressure on the white chief here who and some of them got black, like head over the whole police department. We're not tolerating this. And if it's one case at a time, but what happens is, the fellow officers know that you cannot, I don't care what you say or anybody else say, you cannot tell me I work alongside of this dude. We're in the military. I can go back over 32 years of my career and I can point out almost every racist that was in the Army because I knew them. I saw how they walked, I saw how they moved, I saw the stuff that they did.
Their action.
You can't tell me there ain't somebody that's looking at this police officer and this
Who's
white
dirty.
police officer and looking at all these arrests and all these incidents and all these complaints and not saying, oh, this dude's a racist.
So
But you got to say
we
nothing,
we
that's
we
all.
so
And we
so
ain't got
here's
enough of us standing up and saying something.
so here's I get what you're saying.
But what,
But-
what's it called? Perpetuate the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing.
Oh, so we back at our
If
first
if it,
podcast.
if we say, if using your example,
It's perpetual motion now.
there are individuals that do that. Let's take what's the cat's name that had the firefight and was killed in the fire, the police officer in California.
Yeah, I knew about it. He was a former military and former police officer.
And the story is that he reported
Yep.
an incident
Yep.
and he got retaliated against.
Yep.
And because of that,
Yeah.
eventually
But
it
listen,
became
he was by himself.
right. So
Like your point. But in California, they got
right.
hundreds of police officers.
But remember, we're talking about 13% of the population
I
currently.
got you.
So hear me out. So just hear me out though, Pat. I'll let you ride. Hear me out. When we had this conversation before, but we just never got a chance to.
Always talk. I always hear you out.
Brother, what you talk about?
Say that.
I'm saying you went on a diatribe for about 5 or 10 minutes.
You do
But I
that
let you
every
go.
week.
Okay.
Every week.
So
All right,
say
let me
something.
listen. I'm
So
listening.
say something then.
All right,
But I'm right
listening.
now, I'm saying something. So at the end of the day, those individuals
Like you
are
shifted
gonna
me is what I didn't like.
well then be quiet and don't come on, elder.
Come on.
Shit, elder. You filibustered. At the end of the day, he filibustered. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm looking at him like this. I agree with your premise, Pat. What I think is that we are so scattered that in many ways we are, because I know police officers just like you do. And I know there's a reason why they had to form the Black Fraternal Order of Police and firemen, is because we supposed to put on this blue and be a fraternity. But within that fraternity, we know that there's some things that's going on, there's racist, and we have to try to protect ourselves. And even with that, they have to fear, because they understand. Like, when you understand this social construct and those people that fall in that category, we know they eat their own. January 6th shows you they eat their own babies. So a Black person sitting there like, man, shit, if I say something, I already know. Because I know that at the end of the day, if I try to come out and say this, and even if we back, we might have the power to move something at this moment, but I'm always going to have to watch my back from that day forward, because the social structure requires that somebody is on the top and somebody's on the bottom. And these people feel like if I let you have any power or be on equal status, I'm losing something. They don't see the humanity. And that's the part that for Black people, in my opinion, that most Black people like. I don't know how many times we got to say, we not about to take over. If we get power, we ain't going to kill you. We ain't going to put you in prisons, entrapment, what is the thing called? Not entrapment camps, but the camps that they put the Japanese in World War II. Similar to that. We're not going to do none of that. We just want equal footing. We just want to be able to live our lives. But the problem is that, like I always say, if you a cheater, you can't think of nobody else doing nothing but cheating. So if you a killer, a liar, a misfit, you're going to be like, shit, I already know. If I get an upper hand, what I do is kill them all. So they see the same thing in us. And so it's like, how do I continue to peel? The only thing that I could do, now here's where I agree with you. We got to just say, to hell or high water, whether they burn the town down or what, we just going to have to start building our own, coming in on our own, having this social structure and start to move. Like, so if South Carolina is where it's at, we might have to start saying, okay, Pat, I'm gonna move down here where you at. And I'm gonna bring some more people down so we can have our money in that tax bracket. And we gonna run for office. So if you run for alderman, then I could say, okay, Pat, we support you. You see what I'm saying? Now,
Right.
Pat, we have to start moving because we've done it before. The problem is that when we did it, the federal government came in and said, hey, we make this grand compromise, and they pulled the rug out, and then they came in and Jim Crow started. And so we, at some point, we either gonna have to build a infrastructure army, appeal to the United Nations, or we just gonna have to prepare to fight for these particular things because it is what it is, and we just asking for some good folks in those other categories in the dominant culture. Are you gonna be there to fight when we need to for humanity?
Man,
Because at the end of the day, that's what it's gonna take.
As we near
I
half.
don't know if we ever touched on Sundown. I don't know how the hell we got on this.
But I'm gonna hit on the Sundowns right here on this one. America's falling, brothers, and it's for sale. What are you gonna do about it?
And then you can do. So listen,
And that's the question about, and that's the question about these sundown towns that we're talking about. Okay, we know they exist. Us three sitting here know they exist, but we got our own communities. We sitting back. It's like, yeah, I know for sure. You can ride up through Indiana, go into your house, and there's a couple through there. I know there's a couple in Mississippi.
Whitestown.
That South Carolina guy that they just found out that the guy was still a slave or something like. We know that this stuff exists.
Wait, what?
But
You didn't know about that?
Yeah, man.
He was a black dude. He had mental illness, and he had been like 30 years ago. He owed this white man only like $200 or something. So the white man told him he had to work it off. So he'd been working for this man for like 30 years, and the man wasn't paying him. It was basically slavery. But
For real?
Huh?
This is for real? This is a for
Yeah,
real
yeah,
story?
it's real. It happened in South Carolina. And finally, I'm trying to figure out where all the family members were, but finally somebody said something about it. And I think that the man actually went to prison.
Oh, really?
The man actually went to prison for it and everything, but he had that man working for him for like 30 years for free. Had him living in a little room in the back of his garage or something, a basement or a cellar or something.
So these are the things that we know going on, brothers. We know that to our viewers and listeners, and it's to the point now.
Hold on, we need to address something before we get out there. The lights, I think the lights are great start.
Okay. Yep, I've seen them come on.
But I'm gonna tell you two brothers up. Don't ever challenge me like that again on camera. on national camera.
It's gonna happen.
Because I'm telling you, when Mike raised up and then you were sitting here, you almost caught what he did. I don't know if you saw it, but my hand was over here shaking. Oh, let me get it on the camera. So
see, listen. Hold on, Pat. We gotta get some things down. We gonna have intellectual. We gonna intellectually spar. You can't be smacking people with somebody that we gotta say you too educated. Hold on, no, Pat. You too educated to do that. Huh? I was respectful.
You get kind of disrespectful.
I wasn't disrespectful. I was just respectful. Trust me, I was respectful.
So listening to you almost got him smacked.
Hey, he'd have caught one.
All jokes aside,
He'd have caught one. Across his lip.
Oh man, I love y'all, man. I love y'all.
For everybody that's listening, I love these brothers, and I'm closer than these brothers than some of my own family members. So like any other family, and this is just for future as we go on, you all will hear us debate. We'll have some heated debates. We might even have some flat out arguments, but it's so much love there that none of that matters. I love
but y'all better not do it.
That's all you do.
Yeah, because we'll mount up.
Yeah, y'all don't do it.
Mount up.
You best get out of my face, and if I raise up, it's gonna be trouble. So, walking off.
But as the lights come on, I want to tell you, brother.
I love you too, brother. Love you more.
I'm gonna close with this. And I know we started off about Sundown Towns, and for all of you all that
still here. What was
some of you all that are listening, or for all of you all that are listening, we may stray sometimes. Because here's the thing of it. We start out on a topic,
Talk about it.
but I think Mike said it best at the beginning, that you can go down a rabbit hole. A topic like Sundown Towns branch off to so many other things. Now, we didn't mean to do it, but it just kind of
That's
happened.
where it ended.
But I'm gonna be honest, I love the conversation. I love the debate. I love the camaraderie. I love the arguing. That's what this podcast is about. It's real. These are real emotions, real feelings, and I love these brothers. So for everybody that's listening, thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna close with this. If I come through a sundown town, leave me the hell alone. All right, that's all.
I'm gonna say this, Mike. I'll let you have to end up.
All right.
Do anyway. But I'm gonna say
Hold
this.
on, I gotta jump back in there.
Okay.
I don't know that that's a word, the end up. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's
I'm gonna
what.
let you have the end up.
Hey, yeah.
Oh, I got one more thing.
What?
What's it?
Don't mix vodka and rum. I'm drunk as a mother.
Listen, you ain't got to tell me nothing.
I'm sweating and everything.
You don't have to tell me a thing.
Go ahead. What you
It's
gonna
written all over your face.
That's
So listen, this is what I'm gonna say to the viewers, to you all out there, man. I'm gonna leave it.
Oh man.
If you get into a sundown town, what are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna say this to the listeners. America is falling. You have borrowed time. What are you gonna do with it? Every minute counts.
Can we get that quote, Mike? You
Do something about it.
can we get that quote, Mike? You done gave it to us 100 times, but I love it.
Which one is that?
I have a moment, a second, a minute.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I don't even know if I can remember it. It said,
You know it off the top of your head. You've done it 100 times.
I know, but this one,
Truth.
I'm
They say it's
laughing
facts.
on this
That's-
one.
That's facts. That's facts.
I
That's
know.
Oh
facts.
man, this one,
Fact.
man.
That's a
What are you
beautiful
doing with your minute?
I swear to God, man.
It's an individual, man.
Somebody
Come on,
need to
Mike.
pick up. Somebody need to pick up this show. I just promise you. We need to have our own show.
But that's a beautiful
HBO.
quote, though. I actually want to learn that myself. That's a beautiful quote.
Oh yeah. It's called the God's Minute.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Well, while we waiting on them, how many of y'all remember? I said a hip hop.
Oh,
To the
come
hip,
on,
the hip.
man. No,
You know what's so funny? Me and my wife was in the car today, and I literally, the extended version of that song, about 15 minutes long.
Yeah, yes.
I was
Right.
the entire extended version of that song, and I can't tell you what I did earlier today. My memory is so bad, I can't tell you what I did earlier today, but
You know
I
the whole
remember the
song.
whole extended version of that song.
Hey, listen. All right, it goes like this. It's by Dr. Benjamin Mays. And he was the mentor and a spiritual guide to Dr. King at an early age and throughout his life. I'm only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give an account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. And if you think about it, it's that's just deep. That's deep. So
I'm word for it.
That's it. That's it.
it's it. 60 seconds. We got 60 seconds. All you got to do is just take 60 seconds to be the best version of yourself, and then start over for another 60 seconds. And if you do that,
Sweet
Right.
darling.